Just when you think you know everything that's going on with these characters, you don't. Hey guys, it's Kevin again. This is my review for Humans, Season 1, Episode 6, and shout out to Humans, it just got renewed for a second season. Can we just, oh my god, thank god it got renewed for a second season. I mean, this episode, again, amazing episode. It was on fire, and as I said in my review, we found so much more about the characters that I didn't even think of. Like, so many reveals in this episode. We find out what's going on between Laura and Tom, who Tom was. We get more development with Leo and Mia. Tons of stuff in this episode. Loved every minute of it, and I don't know if it was better than last week's. Last week's was just so big that I don't really know at this point. I'm pretty sure at this point, they're just... every episode is going to be my favorite. I am pretty convinced that's what's going to happen now. I mean, I just love the show. Let's just get into it. And by the way, guys, I've heard that they edit, I heard that they edit, the AMC version of the show. I just want you guys to know, I watch the UK version. I don't watch the one where they edit stuff, and it's like, it's stupid that they edit stuff out. That's why I don't watch it. It gets released online early. I watch it, that's how I review it early, okay? That's, if you guys want to, that's what I do. So, let's get into this episode. So much happened. We start with seeing that Fred is not dead, which I was not surprised about. I knew there was no way that Fred was dead, and he's not at the lab. He's actually at Hobbs' house, and he's under armor guard, and basically he tells, Hob tells Fred that Leo found out there's something in his head, and they need all of them to recreate it, and Hobbs says that he was told to kill him, and says the lines are blurring with machines and humans, and Fred asks what he wants, and basically Hobbs says he wants to continue David's work and show the world that they don't need to fear the evolution. So at this point it seems like maybe he's doing something good, but again, we definitely know that something happened between Hob, George, and David. We just don't know what it is yet, and I'm assuming that we're not going to find... I feel like that's going to be a Season 2 thing. That's when we find out in Season 2. I'm honestly not sure at this point. So that I thought was definitely very interesting. So Laura is distracted, which is understandable. I mean, obviously, she just kicked Joe out. She's pissed at what's going on, and she has to keep this now from her kids. And obviously, they can tell that something's wrong with her, and that's what I love about the show, is how smart her kids are. They can tell that something's going on, that she did something. And Sophie asks when Joe will be back from, vacation, or as they call it, holiday. And Toby asks what will happen to Anita, and Laura says it's not Anita's fault. And Maddie goes off on her mother about not telling the truth about what's going on, and she asks if she's having sex with Tom, and I like that Maddie answers this question because Laura has yet to actually say what's going on between her and Tom, and Joe, meanwhile, is at someone else's house crashing on the sofa, and they have a synth too, and later he lurks around the corner to talk to Toby, who goes off on him for having sex with Anita, which again makes sense, because obviously Toby tried to cover for him, and Joe basically did do this to himself. He did. I mean, again, I understand why he did it, because he thought Laura was having sex with Tom, and he felt compelled to cheat on her, because it's kind of like, he was just, in the heat of the moment he did it, and again, two wrongs don't make a right, but that, I think, was really what Joe was thinking there. So, Max watches kids playing on a playground and smiles, and Leo looks bad. He's by the water, he seems to be ill, and he collapses, and I thought something really bad was going to happen to Leo here. Honestly, when that happened, I was like, oh shit, is Leo going to, die? But then I thought, well, Leo's, the main, one of the most important things of the show. If Leo dies, the show dies, so, Niska has Vera powered off and tells George that Leo will send for her soon, and I'm happy that she did that, because obviously Vera's driving him nuts, and I like that she was just like, you know what, I'll power her off, and that was great. So she threatens George with a knife. He's not impressed. He says she won't kill him since she likes him, and says her body language reveals that and more. And he says being scared of her is a waste of time, and he says he lost his wife and lost memories of her from a stroke, and he struggles to open a can, and he asks for help, and Niska says she doesn't serve humans, but he says he's helping, and Odie then shows up at the door and collapses, and that I thought was going to be interesting, and I like the bonding between Niska and George. Now, I thought George was going to tell her what's going on between him, David, and Hob, but I guess he just doesn't want to, because obviously something really bad had to have happened, he just doesn't want to tell them. Basically, we then see Laura comforts and upset Toby, and he says he would have taken the blame for what happened with Anita, And basically, Fred then asks Hob why he's keeping him prisoner, and he talks about his father, David, and he talks about how his father underestimated him and says humans can't comprehend that their creators can surpass them. And he punches through a door abruptly, chokes the armed guard. This was insane. He takes the gun, and Hob is scared. Fred shoots him with a stun weapon. I mean, Fred is just a badass. I know Fred was just powerful, but Fred just goes into full badass mode, and I love this. And he shoots the guards too, takes the car and leaves. And I thought Niska was a badass. Holy shit. I mean, I did not know how much of a badass Fred truly was. That was awesome. So George explains to Niska his affections for Odie, who has been with him for years. And basically Niska helps repair him and George thanks him. And meanwhile, Simon and Jill are having sex. And that's Pete's wife, of course. And she asks if he can do something unexpected, and he can't, but he can do what she asks. And that's going to be really bad for Pete. Again, I feel like Pete is just, he's going to get to his breaking point where eventually he just turns against synths. I know it's coming. I mean, think of how much shit he's been through with synths. I mean, it cost him his job because of what he did with a synth. He's working with a synth, and he doesn't even know that. And now his wife just cheated on him with a synth. So, obviously, this is going to end up really bad for Pete. I definitely feel like he's being pushed to his breaking point. You can just tell. So, I know something's going to happen there. I don't know what, but definitely he's going to be pushed to his breaking point very soon. So, Anita tells Laura who Maddie has been spending time with, and Laura puts Anita in the car to take her to where Maddie has been hanging out, and Maddie demands the truth about her dad, and I like what Maddie did. You know, that's something I really like about Maddie's character, is that she doesn't take no for an answer, and honestly, you know what? Laura's not going to talk to her. Maddie deserves to go away, because, I mean, this is her mother. Her mother should be honest with her, and she's like, look, I'm not going to leave unless you tell me what happened with, with Joe. She wants to know what's going on there. So George clans up Odie and asks where he's been, and Odie struggles to speak, and Niska wants to know if David really cared about them, but he says he wasn't there when David made them, and George says David was all about his ideas and work and his wife, and Leo and the others weren't interesting to him. So you can definitely tell that something is going. So I'm kind of thinking what happened with David is that he created them and then he just kind of forgot about them, and they've basically been living on their own, which that I think is definitely very sad, but I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, they look at each other so much and they look after each other, and it's pretty incredible the way we see that. So, again, I'd really love to see David, and I heard that David's going to be on the show, but I don't know if it's going to be this season or next season. I hope it's this season, because I really do want to see him, but I kind of feel like it's going to be a season 2 thing. So, George asks how old she is, and she says 9. He says she's just a child. She says David didn't always treat her like one, and she says the others don't know what David did to her. George offers his hand and says he wants to help her. She takes his hand, and Laura then shows Maddie a photo of her brother, and we find out what happened to Tom here. And this scene, I love, because up to this point, we pretty much thought Laura was having an affair with this guy, Tom. And basically, I was thinking when she was working that she was with Tom. But we find out this is the complete opposite of what's going on. And this twist, I think, just made things so much better. I love this because I will admit, it was a little bit cliched. I will admit that. Some people have said that, oh, the twist is kind of cliched. I will admit that. I mean, if it had been that she was having an affair, they would have had to given a really good reason for it, but what I like is that we found out it's actually not an affair. Basically, we find out that Tom is actually Laura's brother and says he died when she was 11 and he was 5. And she says he was hit by a car when she should have been watching him, and Laura says her mother couldn't forgive her. She says she never went back home after college, and Laura reveals that her mother is alive, and that's where she was on her last business trip. So now we understand why Laura's been away from the family all this time, because she's going to see her mother, and it's understandable. She's trying to reconnect with her mother and her don't have a very good relationship, and she says her dad doesn't know any of this, and Maddie can't believe that she has a grandmother. And Laura says at 13, her mother told her she wished she had died instead of Tom, and at 16, she said her mom said she let him die on purpose, and Laura says it was easier to say she was an only child with dead parents, and Joe just doesn't know. So I love that twist because, one, it made us care so much more about Laura's character. I mean, I cared about her, but all this time I thought she was just being a hypocrite towards Joe. But no, honestly, what Joe did was wrong. You can see how much it's affected Laura. I mean, Laura probably feels so bad now, and she needs to tell Joe the truth because that I think is an amazing twist. I love the fact that she kind of took care of her brother, and it's very much reminds us of the relationship between the five synths. It's very much like that, and I think it definitely is very interesting. The way the show compares those things, I definitely really love. And Laura says she tried to reconnect with her mom to understand what was going on with her and Maddie, and she says she should tell her dad and says it may help, and I thought that was really great. So Anita sits with them through all of this, and Maddie asks about Tom, and she says he was nuts, and Anita gasps, and basically scarring Laura, who runs off the road. Anita says her name, and then all of a sudden, we just start to see Anita just like convulse, and she starts gasping, and we realize that Mia is there. Somehow, the Mia personality has gotten into Anita, and as I said, I believed that Mia was there all along, and we realize that she is, because she says they don't have much time. She says Anita's trying to delete her as rogue code, and she says to tell Leo, and Anita begs Laura not to call the police and says she and others like her will be killed. She says her brother died died too. Then Anita comes back and Mia's gone. So you can definitely tell that Mia's in there, but now she's just been affected so much by this Anita persona that there's no way she can really get out of it. And that I thought was definitely very interesting. So no, Mia's not gone. Like last week when Leo said that Mia's gone, no, she's not gone. She's still there. It's just she's kind of been hacked into by Anita, and I think that definitely is very interesting. So Anita says she corrected the incorrect code in the system, then asked to drive them home. And obviously, Laura is completely confused. This is the first time she's seen any of this. This is the first time she's understood anything what's going on. And she asks who Leo is, and she says Leo got in touch with her about her, and then told her Mia was gone. And Laura says he was obviously wrong. And Max then walks past a memorial for a kid named Adam on the side of the street. And I was like, okay, who's Adam? What connection does he have? I was thinking maybe Adam was like someone that owned them as a synth or something. I honestly didn't know. Because Max prays to a god he doesn't believe in help with his family, and he kind of just does this as a way to pray. He kind of just does this as a way to him to get some faith, to pray, to... And I thought this was really great, because he prays that he doesn't believe in help with his family. He begs that they will be kept safe, and I really love the role that Max plays in this episode. We get a lot more with Max, and I definitely really love that. And Maddie shows up and says she needs to talk to Leo, and Max doesn't know where he is, because obviously, again, Leo abandoned him last week, if you remember, and Max is all on his own, and says he can guess where he might be. And Laura tells Toby about Mia being trapped inside Anita, and Max and Maddie are in the woods looking for Leo, and Maddie asks if he's special like Anita, and they find Leo unconscious, and Max carries him out, and an incredible scene here. So Pete tells Karen that he found something, and he thinks it was the girl they've been looking for, and obviously it was Niska, and he gets a call from Jill, who says she had Simon modded, and now he's got out of control, and Simon tells Pete that she's playing hard again, and tells Pete if he powers him down, he won't be able to penetrate her, and Pete beats Simon down with a tire. I knew something was going to happen here. He beats Simon down with a tire iron. Jill comes out, tells Simon she's sorry, and he tells her that he'll get her a new one and says not to bother, and he's gone. So he just killed a synth, and I don't think this is going to be Pete's last synth that he kills. I mean, think of how much this is affecting him, and especially the secret that Jill's keeping, the secret that, Karen's keeping from him. I mean, that's really going to end up badly for Pete, definitely. So, Karen chats up a cabbie who Niska left without paying, and Maddie watches Max treat Leo and asks what he is, and Toby comes looking for his dad, and he says Anita is a person with feelings, and he used her, and Joe says she's just plastic and metal, but Toby says she's so weird and old because there's a person trapped inside her, and she can think and feel, and he sexed her up, and he's angry with his dad, and Maddie tells Leo that she met Mia, and she's still in there, and she repeats what Mia says, then demands to know what's going on with Leo, and of course, Leo just kind of feels like this is impossible, because again, he tried to do this last week, and it didn't work out, and he won't tell her, but Max encourages him to tell her the truth, and he shows her memories that are stored digitally inside him. He says his mother got sick, and then made him someone to take care of her, and that was Mia, and he says she was the first conscious synthetic, and she was his mother as he grew up, basically. That's the bond that they have, and I thought that was something completely different. I thought it was like a romantic thing, but no, she was like his mother, basically, and then Niska, and that makes sense, because she really is, we find a lot more what's going on here because Niska and Maxon came along as siblings, and we knew that Leo was the first one. And basically, he says his mother was sick and put him in a car. She drove him off the road and into the lake. He says he was 13 when he died, and Mia pulled him out of the water. And he says his father kept him barely alive, inputting synth parts into him, and says they helped him recover. He says one day his dad just went crazy and says he had to take care of him, then killed himself, destroyed his lab. And Maddie says that no, we're never gonna meet, we're never gonna meet David. I heard that we were, but now we're not, because now we know he's dead. And Maddie says she thought Mia was his girlfriend, but he says she raised him as her own child. And I thought that was a really good twist, because all this time, yeah, we did think that they were boyfriend girl, but no, it's the complete opposite, that she's basically like a mother to him, and she kind of keeps watch over him. And I thought that was really great. I really love that, I have to say. Definitely that's something I've really enjoyed. So, Joe shows up and says he will do whatever it takes for their family to be together. Then he asks what Toby said about Anita, and Laura says people are looking for Anita, they want to destroy her, and Laura says she feels, and there's a person in there, and Maddie shows up with Leo and Max, and she says Anita belongs with them. Laura asks Joe to leave. Maddie tells Leo what Mia told him to help bring her back, and Maddie helps Leo figure it out. Then Mia's there and hugs Leo, and she asks if he's alright, and he says he's been better. She hugs Max, they all laugh and smile, and Mia thanks Maddie, Laura, and Toby, and she then binds Leo's wounds, and it's the reunion scene we've been waiting for. We've been waiting for these synths to reunite, and it really is incredible here. And Laura asks about the people who are after them, and Laura asks if they're safe, and Leo says they want them. Max says if any of them talk about them online or on the cell phone, they will be heard. And Laura says she wants to help them since no one else is, and I just really love that scene, I have to say. So, Karen and Pete watch a ball game. He says he saw Jill for the last time tonight. He says she looked for what he couldn't provide in Simon. He asks about the lead, and she says nothing came of it. And then Pete mentions the thing with Odie, and he mentions he's George Milliken, and she's intrigued, but then plays it off, and he asks, doesn't she want to finish her win? And Karen says it doesn't agree with her. Pete comes to her bedroom door later. They flirt. She kisses him, and he's nervous. He doesn't know how this is gonna go, and I'm just like, oh shit, this is not gonna end well, because he's gonna realize she's a synth. I mean, he has to at some point. So, Laura talks to Leo about going to the press. Fred calls, and Leo says Niska's safe, and they have the others. And Fred says they're all free, and basically they can all meet up again, and basically it can work out well for them. And Leo says they may have put a tracker on him, but he says he checked, hang on one second, guys, where was I? He checked and there's not, and he's sure he's not been followed, and they make a plan to meet without naming the place in case they're overheard, and Leo's overjoyed about this, and Leo tells them his brother's free, he knows where to find him, and Mia tells them she has to go, but Laura thinks she'd be safer with them, and Laura says it sounds very dangerous, and Mia says that's her place, and Laura says she should stay and let them come back for her. Leo agrees she's safer there, and he says he'll come back with the others, they can all leave together, and Mia tells him to be careful, and he and Max take off. So, basically everything seems okay. It seems like they're going to be reunited, but I understand why he wants Mia to stay with them. I mean, they bought her. They can have her. They're not doing anything wrong to her. This is going to end badly, though, with her staying there. I mean, she's going to feel homesick. It's not going to be well. And for all we know, the Anita personality could end up destroying her. That's really my fear here, is that this is going to end up destroying Mia, and I really hope that doesn't happen, because as we know, the Anita personality is trying to destroy Mia. Mia can only come out every so often. Some point, Anita's going to come back. You just know it's going to happen. So outside, Joe makes a call and reports a dodgy guy at his house and gives Leo's tag number. He doesn't trust this guy, and this is going to end up really badly. I mean, Leo's going to get arrested. I don't know what Joe is exactly doing here. If he doesn't think that Leo's legit, I'm not really sure. I honestly don't know at this point. We'll have to see. So Karen tells Pete she's going away and wants him to know how she feels about him, and she says he's her favorite person in the world. She pulls out a charging cable, plugs it in so he can see. He laughs in disbelief, thinking she's joking. She says she needs him to know who she is. He grabs up his pants, very upset that she's not human, and now he knows that she's not human. And I really feel this is going to have a big effect on Pete. I mean, he's going to freak out. Things are not going well for Pete at all. I don't think this is going to work out well for him either. So Max and Leo drive, and Max says he needs to charge. They spot blue lights from a copper, and this ending best ending of Humans so far. I absolutely love this ending. He tells Max to stay calm, then Hob pulls up, and Max says it's them. Leo puts the car in gear, races away from the cop car, and, Hobbs people. The cops give chase. They stop the car, get out and run. Max says he's at 4% and can't do it, but Leo tells him to try. Max is ready to jump off the bridge, but Leo says they need all of them to find out the code, and obviously, you standing on the bridge, water and electricity don't mix, they're obviously gonna die. So Leo tells Max he'll die and to stop, and Max says if he dies, it means he lived and let himself fall off the bridge, and Hobbs is very upset. Leo's distraught. He sends the armed man after Leo, who then takes off at a run, and basically Hobbs stares down at the water. Max is deep in it, and Max is dead. He killed himself, and I'm not surprised. I knew a synth was going to die soon, but wow, I did not expect Max to just go out like that. But what an incredible episode, guys. Seriously, another amazing episode. I want to talk about a few things, though, because definitely I think this episode, by far best episode of the season. I mean, so many reveals. I really loved it. What is Joe's thinking here? Why did he report Leo and Fred? I don't know. I mean, Leo and Max. I don't know if he doesn't think they're legit or what's going on there. What's going on with that? That definitely is something I'm very interested in, is what's going to happen with that. Laura needs to tell the truth to Joe, okay? She needs to tell him what happened with Tom, because obviously that has to be in the back of his mind. I know he didn't bring it up in this episode, but you have to think that that's in the back of Joe's mind somehow. So I definitely see her telling Joe that, Tom is her brother that died. I mean, I know it's hard for her to say, and it's something she doesn't really want to admit, but eventually she has to face her fears and tell him. I don't know how, but she needs to. This whole thing with Leo, I really love this backstory. Is the Mia personality going to get erased? Because obviously Mia said that Anita's trying to erase her. So is this going to end up badly for her? We'll have to see. That's something I'm very interested in. Leo's basically all out on his own now. I mean, Max is not there. So now him, Niska, and Fred need to meet up at some point. And something's going to happen, definitely. We don't know what's going to happen there. Now, at this point, I don't know if Hobbs' intentions are for good or not, because obviously he didn't kill Fred, so he has some sort of other intention for them, and I'm not really sure exactly what his motive is. I don't know yet, but definitely he has some sort of motivation. I just can't really tell where his head is at right now. I think he definitely it's some sort, I don't know if it's good or bad, but he definitely has some sort of he definitely has some sort of plan for them, but I can't really tell what he's doing yet, so we'll have to see what's going on with that as well. That definitely is something I'm interested in. Again, what happened between George, David, and Hob? We definitely have more of an idea that David went crazy after making Leo, but something had to have happened between George and Hob, and there's definitely clashing between them. There's something that they don't want them to know, and this is not going to end well. Pete, I think Pete is going to go insane soon. I definitely see Pete going insane very soon. I mean, he just found out that Karen, this girl that he's now romantically involved with and is about to have sex with, is now is now a synth, and that's not going to end well for him. Meanwhile, his wife just cheated on him with a synth, and that's not going to end well either. Pete, I feel like, is this close to his boiling point where he's just going to go, like, rampage on the synths. You know that group that's after the synths? I feel like he definitely is going to join that group, and basically he's going to join We Are Humans group, I think it's called. He's going to go after that group, and some bad's going to happen there. That definitely is not going to We Are People, We Are People, I think it's called. He's definitely going to go join that group, and it's not going to end well. I've said this before, but I definitely see that happening. Will Toby and Joe make amends? I honestly don't think they can at this point. I mean, think of what Joe did. That was a big thing for Toby. He tried to keep cover for Joe, but Joe is just kind of being a dick about it at this point. Honestly, Joe is being a real dick about everything. He doesn't trust Mia. He pretty much just wants everything himself. Joe's being a real dick at this point, and I understand that still he thinks that Laura's just being a hypocrite. But again, she needs to tell him the truth, and then maybe he won't be as much of a dick. But I honestly don't know at this point if Joe is not going to be as much of a dick or not, just because he seems like a guy that's going to be a dick no matter what. So we'll have to see what happens with that. Definitely, I'm interested in seeing what's going to happen there. But that's basically my review. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Overall, guys, best episode of the season. Really did love this episode once again. I have to say it was a fantastic episode. And I will see you guys in my next video, which will be for another classic movie review, and I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.